With Krakoa gone and the mutant population seemingly devastated, what will become of the enemies of mutant kind? Have they truly laughed their last laughs? Well, let's hop into the pages of Immortal X-Men issue number 14 and find out together, shall we? Well, now isn't this interesting? Up until now, each individual issue of Immortal X-Men has focused on a different member of the Quiet Council. Well, now the Council and Krakoa are no more and we're basically in uncharted waters. As we join the book, we see what became of Professor Xavier since the end of the Hellfire Gala, and the short answer is nothing good. He's been sitting on the beach, what little actually remains of Krakoa. Again, I think there's a little confusion around how much of the island is actually left. You'll remember that it was actually two islands that came together and Mother Righteous only managed to steal away most of it into her lantern. Now, the population of the island nation is just one. Poor Xavier, who sits there growing a grosser and grosser hobo beard while playing over the events of the Hellfire Gala in his mind. Still beating himself up, believing that he may very well have sent most of mutant kind to their death at the other end of God knows where via the hacked portals. But we'll actually circle back to this in a minute. Believe it or not, this issue actually isn't about Xavier all that much at all. Instead, it's about Sebastian Shaw, the only member of the Quiet Council who just so conveniently managed to be absent from the New Mutant Massacre, mainly because he had cut a backroom deal with Mother Righteous, which in turn put him right in bed with the agents of Orchis. Though it seems that Dr. Stasis and the others don't actually trust Shaw all that much, and as a show of how loyal he is to them, he has to take Orchis' brand new mutant cure, in doing so getting rid of his powers. Shaw doesn't actually care as much as you might think, bidding farewell to his powers, saying that at the end of the day he was never really a mutant, just a man with mutant genes, and besides, why should he care? He's going to be rich. As part of their deal, Mother Righteous and Orchis had promised that Shaw would have complete ownership of Krakoa. The only problem is that Krakoa the island and Krakoa the finances, not the same thing. As Shaw is much too late to learn from his new assistant, Teresa. Well, actually, she has a completely different name, but Shaw doesn't bother to learn it because when you're rich, the universe basically just becomes what you want it to become. An enraged Shaw heads on down to the Hellfire Club HQ to have himself another little sit-down with Mother Righteous, who he still does when summoning her via a pentagram. Which should really basically tell you everything you need to know right there. Shaw thought that he was dealing with another CEO, with another business person in Mother Righteous, but no, she's a magician, a magic user. This was a devil's deal, and you never win a devil's deal, Shaw. In fact, when it rains, it pours for old Sebastian. Not only is he not getting paid right now, but he's actually getting thrown out of the Hellfire Club. Oh look, the classic Hellfire Club henchmen. Haven't seen them in a long time. An indignant Shaw asks under whose authority he's being thrown out right now, and as we learn from giant psychic Emma Frost, it's under the authority of the brand new White King of the Hellfire Club, Wilson Fisk the Kingpin. Ooh, things just got really interesting now, didn't they? Furthermore, I like the fact that Emma may have been divorced from her brand new political power that Krakoa offered her, but when the chips were down, she was able to instantly re-establish her old underground secret society power like it was nothing. In fact, she's even wearing her old Hellfire costume. She makes a lot of veiled threats to Sebastian, saying that his days are numbered and that despite all the horrible things she's done over the years for Krakoa, she only did so for the betterment of mutant kind and her children, while Shaw did all these horrible things just to enrich himself a little bit more. Despite all these monumental setbacks, though, Sebastian Shaw vows to not let any of this slow him down. After all, his amazing power was never the ability to absorb energy and redirect it. Oh no, his great power was always making money. And whilst he might not be able to dip into Krakoa's old bank accounts, he still technically owns the island on paper, and because of that, him and Celine make plans to start selling off the island's natural resources at a premium. After all, as Shaw puts it, anything Forge could do to the island, Shaw can do better, and for a profit no less. Also, with no Doug Cypher around, who's the island gonna complain to, right? There's just one massive problem stopping this though, and that is that all the Orchis grunts that Shaw sends to the island, none of them are ever actually seen again. In fact, a lot of the rank and file goons start talking about a monster stalking the island and hunting any who ever come near. You might be thinking to yourself, oh geez, is that what became of Wolverine? But no, actually, this is what Xavier is doing with his spare time right now. He may be a captain who is vowing to go down with the metaphorical ship that is his island, but he swears up and down that no one will sully his home anymore, and because of that, he's using his psychic powers to make the Orchis goons imagine a whole mad monster party waiting for them every time they come ashore. Though the question does eventually become, how long do you think Professor X can hold out doing this? Probably not forever. And then of course there's still the matter of all of those thousands of missing mutants from the Hellfire Gala. Yes, that's right, I say missing missing and not dead because they're very much alive. Honestly, I cannot believe how many people believed that they were dead. You should all know the rules by now: no bodies, no death. But where exactly did Exodus, Hope, Destiny, and some of Mutant Kind's heaviest hitters actually end up going? Well, it sure as hell isn't Arakko. It's some sort of strange, never-ending desert on God knows where. Some people like Irene begin freaking the hell out because they can no longer see the future. Some people like Hope try and keep everything in check. And then you have people like Exodus, who is weirdly ecstatic about his new scenario. After all, he's always been a mutant pilgrim. And I mean, honestly, it's not like mutants were the first oppressed and marginalized people to ever find themselves wandering the desert. Hey, let's see if they beat the old record of 40 years. And believe it or not, it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close, everybody. And so that was Immortal X-Men issue number 14, and I gotta say, Kieran Gillen really does throw some curveballs in this one. Immortal X-Men was, during the Destiny of X, kind of the main X-Men book you needed to read if you wanted to know what was going on and what the big impetus is behind the big events were going to be, but here it looks like the book is actually changing its identity. Now it actually looks to be more of a character piece as we get to check on in with all the different Quiet Council members now that they've been spread to the four winds. And honestly, I'm for it. In fact, this issue actually did a good job making me appreciate previous Gillen stories that I didn't like as much. Shaw actually seems to be set up to be the big main bad for this series, which is good considering I thought that his solo piece from Immortal X-Men was a little bit underwhelming. Likewise, I didn't understand what Gillen was trying to do or trying to say with Exodus, but right here, right now, seeing that he has basically elected himself to be the mutants' new exile leader, yeah, it's all starting to come together now. This also might be one of the most interesting times for Charles Xavier as a character, too. He's been pretty passive in all the other stories. He's either had to keep the Moira thing a secret or had to fight for his own ideas on the Quiet Council, but now he's just one man on a dead island beating himself up. In many ways, he's kind of living out his penance, and you know what? You love to see it. Overall, I would give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Immortal X-Men continues to be the book to read if you really love the X-Men and if you really want to know what's going on. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.